Located along a ring of fire, so called because of the volcanoes which form the islands, Indonesia lies within the most geologically active region on our planet. There are over 400 volcanoes, with 70 to 80 still considered active. Situated between the continents of Australia and Asia, Indonesia is the world's largest archipelago, consisting of 13,677 islands, spread over an area larger than the whole United States. Indonesia's early settlers arrived from tribes in Southeast Asia 7,000 years ago. A secondary migration from China brought the Bronze and Iron Age technologies to these islands. And peoples of the South Pacific played a major role in spreading the seafaring heritage common to all the islanders today. The result of this settlement is over 250 ethnic and language groups. In spite of its incredible diversity, this is now a single nation, the world's fourth most populous nation, of nearly 200 million people. The port of entry for most visitors is Indonesia's hot, steamy capital city, Jakarta, on the island of Java. In recent years, Jakarta has endured a population explosion, growing nearly threefold in the last decade to nearly 8 million people. With its industry, telecommunications, and educational opportunities, modern Jakarta attracts the young and ambitious from all the outer islands. It also means that the island of Java has one of the highest population densities in the world, with over 100 million people. Jakarta means Victory City in Bahasa Indonesia, the official language of the archipelago. Before declaring independence in 1945, Jakarta was known as Batavia, the capital of the Dutch East Indies. After ruling Indonesia for 330 years, the Dutch left behind many fine buildings from the colonial era. In the long run, though, Islam has had the most profound impact of all cultures in Indonesia. This impressive structure on Merdeka, or Freedom Square, is the Istiqlal Mosque, the largest in Southeast Asia and the second largest mosque in the world. Islam was first introduced peacefully to Indonesia by Arab spice traders. However, by the 14th century, existing Hindu monarchies were transformed into the Muslim sultanates. It has since become the dominant religion. 90% of Indonesians claim to be Muslim. In spite of the overall triumph of Islam, some islands in the archipelago remain predominantly Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, or animist. Because religious and ethnic minorities are everywhere, Indonesians recognize that tolerance is the one essential quality that makes Indonesia a nation. Having only declared independence in 1945, Indonesia is still a relative newcomer to the nations of the world. Over the last 50 years, the country has had a turbulent history. Under the leadership of the first president, the charismatic Sukarno, the new republic at first gloried in its newfound independence.
And then, of course,
but political turmoil rocked the country during the 1960s and resulted in a transfer of power from Sukarno to General Suharto as the second president. Today, the government works hard to instill a sense of Indonesian national identity and political consensus. Two institutions, universal education and the military, are great unifying influences in the archipelago. School children everywhere are identified by their distinctive uniforms in the Indonesian national colors, red and white. Education is compulsory through the 9th grade and is encouraged through high school. Indonesia today is making every effort to stay abreast of the modern world. While the country exports traditional commodities like oil, hardwoods, cacao, coffee, and copra, it is very proud of its efforts at industrialization, such as this joint venture with a Japanese auto manufacturer. Some say the country has one foot in the present, one foot in the past. For example, modern freighters might connect Indonesia to the outside world, but pinnace schooners connect the islands to each other. These handmade wooden schooners literally sail out of the past. They are modified copies of the Portuguese, Spanish, and Dutch ships that used to trade in the 16th and 17th centuries, now motorized. They dock here at Sunda Kelapa Harbor, the old traditional harbor of Jakarta. When Indonesians aren't working, they have many ways to relax. As is the case in many countries that were once European colonies, soccer is the national sport. Indonesians also enjoy rich cultural lives, and a social event such as this traditional Javanese wedding. According to Javanese tradition, the groom's uncle or another respected family elder steps out and leads the entry procession. Like weddings the world around, after the ceremony there's a reception line for family and friends, followed by feasting. The barbecued skewers are called satay, a national dish, most often served with gado-gado, or vegetables with peanut sauce. The food at this wedding was prepared for a special occasion. But even at its most humble, today's Indonesian cuisine is a dazzling combination of rice or noodles accompanied by spicy and sour vegetables, and a portion of meat or fish. Chili peppers are a common ingredient, but Indonesians prefer a broad medley of contrasting tastes, from hot and spicy to sour to sweet in a meal. Indonesians also consume hundreds of varieties of fresh and saltwater fish. In Jakarta's main fish market, a variety of local fish are found and weighed by the tub. These are then distributed throughout the city. If Jakarta is the political and economic center of all of Indonesia, Yogyakarta, located some 300 miles east of the capital, is the seat of ancient Javanese kings and the cultural heart of the island of Java. Jogja is unique in that it has the only functioning sultanate remaining in Indonesia. The sultan rules from his walled palace, the Kraton, a walled city within a city dating from 1757. Jogja is now ruled by Hamengkubuwono XII. His coronation in 1989 was a spectacular event. The Kraton is also home to one of the finest troupes of Javanese court dancers. The troupe has weekly rehearsals which are open to the public. The city is renowned for batik making. Over 25 batik factories and numerous individuals practice the art. These textiles are created using a wax-resist method. The batik maker applies wax, either by hand or using a metal stamp, onto cotton cloth. The cloth is then dyed. The dye colors those portions of the cloth that are free of the wax. The process is then repeated many times. The resulting creations are often spectacular. Yogyakarta is also renowned for its wayang kulit, or shadow puppetry. The puppets are made from buffalo leather. Cutting and coloring is done with the help of a pattern. Each puppet is painted carefully to enhance its grotesque character, stiffened with glue, and colored with acrylic paint. Some of the best puppets have complex lace filigree. Each figure is held by a flexible rod of split buffalo horn. The rods are also attached to the puppet's elbows and shoulder joints for easier manipulation. A typical wayang kulit, or shadow puppet play, can take 9 hours without an intermission. This one took only 2 hours. The dalang plays all the characters, sometimes more than 100 during a single performance, and is always accompanied by gamelan musicians. This brief episode is taken from an often performed Hindu epic, the Ramayana. The wayang kulit is a means by which the Hindu and Buddhist religions have promoted their great epics since the 9th century. Yet another cultural tradition in Indonesia is the devotion to birds, which are kept as pets. People revere birds because they are symbolic of attaining a form of spirituality, and as a result, markets sell all kinds of exotic native species. Surrounding the living, vibrant city of Yogyakarta are literally hundreds of ancient temples, many never excavated, within a few miles of the town. The area has been a major religious center for well over 1,000 years. Borobudur, about 15 miles northwest of Yogyakarta, is one of the most remarkable structures in the world. Easily the largest Buddhist temple in the world, Borobudur is a man-made mountain of stone. Built between 778 and 850 AD, the temple was abandoned a century later. For nearly 1,000 years, it lay hidden under volcanic ash and vegetation until it was rediscovered in 1814. The temple was designed to lead the worshipper through the 3 phases of Buddhist spiritual development. These phases are characterized in 1,500 pictorial panels and also in many of the ornamental reliefs around the temple. Borobudur bears little resemblance to any other Buddhist temple in Southeast Asia. Instead, it shows the direct influence of temples in northwest India. Clearly, Buddhism came early to Java. It is more evidence that over the centuries, Java has been the crossroads for many peoples and many cultures. Java has known countless centuries of civilization. Sumatra, on the other hand, is still sculpted largely from mountains, jungle, and rainforests, with thousands of square miles of wilderness remaining in the form of national parks. Sumatra is 3 times the size of Java and the 5th largest island in the world, over 1,000 miles long and averaging 250 miles wide. Without Sumatra's resources, the Indonesian economy would be crippled. Ships leave the principal port, Medan, with exports of tin, bauxite, rubber, palm oil, coffee, and of course oil. The east coast of Sumatra produces half the nation's oil. Sumatra, along with Sri Lanka and Malaysia, is noted for its rubber plantations. While the para rubber tree is actually a native of Brazil, it thrives in Sumatra's rich soil. The trees are first tapped for their natural latex. Acid is poured into a vat of raw latex to coagulate the rubber into loaves for later processing. Closer to the heart of most Indonesians, Sumatra grows exotic fruit. Durian is a popular favorite, in spite of its pungent smell. The thick red hair of the rambutan hides the white, juicy meat in the middle. Sumatra is known for its natural beauty and its diverse cultures, such as the Batak clans who live in the north. Northern Sumatra is also higher in elevation and cooler, an ideal climate for growing vegetables, flowers, and fruit, much of which is exported to Singapore or Japan. The Batak peoples were the original headhunters of Sumatra. Once they inspired terror because of their ferocity and cannibalism. Today they are spirited and assertive, especially the women. The men are known for their loud voices and celebrated for their fine musical sense. Traditional Batak houses are built without nails, just rope and wooden pegs with joined wood construction. The palm roofs are saddled with curves that echo the shape of a water buffalo's spine. Several families, all members of the same clan, live in different rooms. Women still cook over wood fires and by available light. The structures might look insubstantial, but some are over a century old. Some houses have sets of buffalo horns arrayed on a pole. Each set of horns represents a different generation that inhabited the house. The ulos blanket figures in all of the clan's important rituals, especially those surrounding birth, marriage, and death. In the Batak marriage ceremony, the couple is wrapped together in an ulos blanket, signifying that they are bound together in a shared fate. The forests and jungles of Sumatra are also home to many rare and endangered animals, such as the man of the forest, or orang-utan. Say tropical paradise, and many people would say without hesitation, Bali. The Balinese themselves imagine that paradise must be a place like Bali, but without human pain or sorrow. This exquisite island of artists is located on the east side of Java. One of the unique features of Bali is that it is Hindu, not Muslim. Hindu ceremonies occur on an almost daily basis somewhere on the island. There are almost 20,000 major and minor temples. Offerings are prepared for a funeral procession. The Balinese regard all life as sacred because for them, Bali is the center of the spiritual and physical world. Indeed, Bali is a precious place, somehow removed from the rest of the world. By day, Bali exhibits a simple agricultural lifestyle, but by night, the island is transformed into a world of ceremony, music, puppetry, and dance. This is the Legong Keraton, one of Bali's most famous dances. There are over 2,000 different dance troupes on Bali. Dance is so popular that several schools have been formed to teach both traditional and modern forms of dance. The Balinese have not only excelled in the arts, they have made them into an industry. For them, art is not an intellectual exercise, but a commercial endeavor. Whole shops are devoted to making wonderful carved masks. These masks are often grotesque and express the Balinese fear of the supernatural. Some masks represent mythological creatures or distort animal characteristics. These are used as decorative items, and they also appear in the barong dance. In Balinese folklore, the barong is a monster, but a benevolent monster. Each village performs its own barong dance. The dance is both an entertainment and a philosophical statement about the nature of good and evil. To the east of Bali lie the Nusa Tenggara. Translated, it means islands of the southeast. Is Sumbawa Island. Unlike Bali, this island is mostly Islamic. Local transport is by bus or chidamo, a pony cart. The island is well known for raising this unique breed of sturdy ponies. Many are exported throughout Indonesia and the world. Around small villages like Perung, life goes on as it has for generations. Crops are grown and harvested by hand, and people go to the market to sell and buy the local produce. Washing and bathing are done along local streams. Next door to Sumbawa lies a very different island, Komodo. From the sea, the island looks so arid as to support little life. But the island does support a unique life form, the Komodo dragon. It is actually a monitor lizard. Protected by the Indonesian Forestry Authority, some scientists believe that this creature has been extinct everywhere else since the Jurassic Age. When mature, this carnivore regularly reaches 300 pounds and 10 feet in length. They may look awkward, but do not take these super lizards lightly. They regularly kill goats and deer. And even local children have disappeared. Indonesia has at least 13,667 islands. Some, like Sumatra, are over 1,000 miles long, but most are small, like Babi Island. In 1992, Babi Island had the misfortune of being hit by a tsunami, or tidal wave. 600 people were swept away to their deaths. Only 200 people remain. The island is still recovering. This is Flores Island, an island of forests and sleepy volcanoes. Some consider it the most beautiful and unspoiled in Indonesia. On Flores Island, people are celebrated for weaving beautiful fabric made up of individually dyed strands known as ikat. Labuan Bajo is a fishing town on the west end of the island. Translated, the town's name means Harbor of the Gypsies. The boat builders here are Bugis, a seafaring people with a reputation for being fine fishermen and traders. They also have an infamous reputation for being pirates. Their ancestors were the original boogeymen, notorious for attacking the sailing ships of early European explorers and traders in the middle of the night. Riung, a village on the north coast of Flores, is best approached by sea as it is nearly inaccessible by land. In a way, Riung is like much of Nusa Tenggara. While men go off to fish, women begin their weaving. And mothers take care of the household chores. They live in houses built on stilts as protection from flooding and for better ventilation. Java, Sumatra, Bali, Sumbawa, Komodo, Babi, Flores. 7 islands, but only a sample of this watery paradise. Beyond the horizon, there are over 13,000 more. Islands with magical names like Irian Jaya, Maluku, the Spice Islands of legend, Sulawesi, Kalimantan, islands with unique and fascinating cultures, histories, and customs. The isolation of these islands by the sea has preserved their cultures for generations. Yet remarkably, they all recognize the fact that each of them will face the future together as one nation, Indonesia.